That's where we got off the 40 route, because it was too hilly, okay? And the road, that's a continuation of the 119 we decided.
Yeah.
And where it disappears is where we are now.
Yeah.
And it hits the Beltway, which then goes past the lake. After 2 weeks in Washington, D.C., it was time to leave and take our chances on the road. We have made programs before, but we knew this one had to be different. For us, it had to break new ground. We wanted to be open to an exploration of ideas within our journey. We hoped that movement would set us free. Before we came, we faced the dilemma of whether or not we could involve ourselves, become part of, the process of unveiling the camera's relation to its subject. But after starting our journey, we began to question the wisdom of hampering our movement with preconceived ideas.
I didn't want to avoid them and negate their presence and just play like I'm performing and there's no camera there. That would be if we had set a piece and we were recording it. But to me, what we were doing was an interplay between camera and performers.
Well, I think
it
did make it more complicated for us to work that way. I mean, it just presented we were like at least two other performers.
I had a difficult time with it. We were sitting on the bench and the camera was here, and I said, "Oh, we don't have to do anything. The camera isn't here." So I felt it was very self-conscious of the camera being there and recording, and I couldn't shed that consciousness.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Called
We'll force them
domination
to do
of the
what
species.
we want them to do.
Right.
I think they're dominating us. We'll move into their space and force them to retreat. You think that's a good idea?
Yeah, slowly.
Notice how quickly he moves. Watch those dimples. Watch those dimples. Margaret, why is your nose stuck to my cheek?
Where are we going, Johnny?
Well, we're in Ohio on the Ohio Turnpike, and we're going to Toledo. Alright. Is that right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is our 6th year of working this way together. And the beginning was very slow and easy. And Barbara was one of the originals, and Jack and myself. And we've been doing it all this time. Jim joined several years ago. 3. Beth has been with us 2 years. So that gives us a nice solid base to work with. We do about 30 performances a year. That's high now. We've gotten so we're more selective where we perform. We used to perform anywhere, in the park, on the street. Anyone who wanted us, we were there. Now we want money. And
they'll play.
I think we're all pretty well committed to working with the company. The dancers work for nothing, which tells you something about our commitment to the work. I think most of us feel it's where our best work happens. That's what they say.
Autism.
He does have dimples like you.
Yeah. Wrong side.
He covered up his dimple.
You embarrassed?
But he covered up his dimple. I'm ready. His mama came to the picture show to see some dead people one day. His mama went to the picture show one day to see some dead people. His mama went to the picture show, took him to one day, see some dead people there. One day his mama took him to the picture show and they saw some dead people over there.
I've been wanting to do this for years.
Do what?
This.
You're giving me a prick.
I've been wanting to do that for years. It just makes me laugh.
Question 1. Do you agree that there are too many helpless and sick people people in the world? Yes. See there? Well, that's an easy one. Number 2. Do you agree that there are too few medical personnel to help the sick people of the world? Yes. Perfect.
Because the job phone, it was so...
So you talk about the whole thing after your performance, and yet none of it was planned before.
Right.
And
Which
we'll
is
talk
why we
about-
talk about it, because
and-
we need to find out what moments worked and what moments didn't work and why, and what was happening when that was failing, and how did that moment evolve, and why didn't we two work together well, what was the deciding factor in why that worked and why that didn't, all of that
Or why something,
comes
how something
into
could be better.
what would have made that moment work. And all of it comes out of understanding what took place during the performance, what were the high points, what were the low points. And there's always the possibility that each one of us has felt differently about the same performance.
Or the
I
same
might have felt-
moment.
the same moment, even.
Yeah.
I might have felt wonderful, and Jim might have felt really terrible, and that's usually the case.
Well, it's very frequently so that one person will feel very good about something and another person will not.
When we're alone, we are calmer, I guess, is one way to put it. We try to remind ourselves to be calm in performance. It's hard to do when there are 300 people watching you and you've got
But
to
there
produce.
is an added energy that an audience gives you.
Hmm.
And it took me a long time to finally acknowledge that. An audience gives you energy just by their presence.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get turned off of what you're doing, say they all come in, and it's interesting, an audience has almost a personality, character.
I'm sure.
They'll get turned on, or they'll get blasé about, or whatever, and you'll use their energy. Sometimes I feel defiant of their energy.
I'm responsible for all of my decisions. I'm responsible for every chance I take, and I'm going to take them. And it's kind
And
of
you believe
I
totally.
totally believe in what I'm doing. You know?
What you're doing.
But it's really an exchange. It's not like it's not thumbing your nose at the audience and expecting them to thumb it back. You know,
I think sometimes the irreverence
it's a real
is also
giving
reverence.
energy.
It's a way of saying, I'm going to take this audience to a place they've never been before. And if they like it or they don't, at least they will have experienced something different, something that they're not used to. And I feel good about that. I feel good about doing that to an audience, and I like to have that done to me when I go to see a piece.
Well, it's total honesty.
Right.
And you can tell when a performer does not believe and is being very phony, as you do in a conversation with someone. You pick up on that immediately, and when we work as a group, it'll be picked up if one of them, 5 performers, is, say, totally into their own ego. And the audience will know that.
Well, so this is Wisconsin.
Tony's shoes in the middle of Minnesota. For some reason they're on top of the car, whilst Tony is underneath the car.
He's wearing the shoes.
What do we do with this bloody exhaust?
What is it that's going on, I wonder?
See, it's fucked. It's all sort of rotten under there, so... Why do they design things so bloody clever?
You mean so you can't fix them?
No, did you know that, I mean, if exhaust pipes were made out of stainless steel, they'd never have to be changed. But they don't do that for some reason. They prefer to make them out of iron and change them so...
Well, garages make a lot of money out of exhaust repairs and replacement.
Yeah, they do.
By the way, we claim this land for England. The Queen.
I think we lost that one.
Actually, they can have Minnesota.
Hello.
when I'm playing, there's a couple elements. One of them is the past. One of them is my own habits, and that's got a kind of parallel relationship with the form itself, which is the 12-bar blues, which got standard ways of playing, standard ways of using the left hand, I suppose, and rhythmic patterns. So that's the given model, like if it was a sonnet or something like that. And then within that, there's certain styles, I suppose, that you can relate to, and I'm relatively isolated. I don't know all the styles that you can play 12-bar blues in, but I really like it as a form because it's got flexibility, it's also got balance, and it also seems to almost be able to contain as many moves as one wants to put into it, you see. So what I'm doing is what is apart from that, apart from the past and my own habits in the past and the things I've played before, I'm in the present and I have my own moods right now, and that includes, my present includes a lot of layers of time and a lot of layers of awareness.
So you're saying there are conditioning factors in the moment, even at the moment you decide.
Yes, definitely.
Do you think there's a point at which those factors become loose and you actually become in a point of free fall where you're just...
Yes, maybe so, but no, because it's like unpeeling an onion or something, and there's always more layers. That's what I always feel like. It's like I want control on one level in order to get a freedom, because without a certain amount of technical control, there's no evocation of anything, you know. And I'm like evoking something. Just now, in fact, I was trying to get back to a dream state, to a dream that I had when I was young, and sometimes I can do that. And sometimes it's not the right vehicle. But I know it's an impossibility. Of course it's an impossibility to put a dream into music, but the effort to do so, to relate to different things, produces something else, which maybe does evoke the dream. It certainly doesn't create it, but it's a sort of... I sang in a cathedral choir in Washington, and that meant a whole lot to me. So when I was 10 or 11, 12, the sounds were all in my head, and I loved it, really. I was just sort of swimming in it, and that I really liked and wanted to be a singer. And I wanted to be a composer too, but it was very suppressed because I thought it was pretentious by outside standards. I really was almost ashamed of the idea of writing something down on paper because I was pretending to be a different role maybe than what I saw around me or something like that. And then at the same time this duality began to come between a path that was acceptable to other people and you get rewards for it in praise and things, whatever field it's in, and even in music. And also between that and a sense that my own path should be different. And nowadays, my mind's been taken over by my ear, I think, these days. I don't actually have to think what chord it is. But if then I use my mind to stretch it a bit further. I use the same faculties that I used to get just to play the right notes. I now use the same faculties to stretch it a little bit further to a more remote area that I really want to get to. I feel I wish I had the gift of living my daily life as if it were, as if it were not a piece of music. That's a funny metaphor because you can have bad music and good music, of course, and a lot of music I don't like, and I also like silence. But I don't feel I succeed very often. In fact, it ought to provide a model for me of how to live, how to relate to time. But often in daily life, I'm seeing time symbolically myself, like thinking I have to get here by a certain time in order to do a certain thing by a certain time. And how I'm filling up that time is not in touch with my deepest values or something like that at all. It's really true. Like I don't live my life like an art. I think it's a thing you ought to try and do, but I can't say that I do it very often. Rhythm generates a convention of character, which is objective in a different sense, in the sense that rhythm belongs to everyone and dance belongs to everyone. If you play a dance, and then that's what relates you to your society, like folk music relates the individual really strongly to the group. It doesn't matter what he's like as an individual. He's like everyone else as an individual, perhaps. They're all folk, and I guess what happened just now is that I may have started off with an idea that I wanted to find a point of individuation, so to speak, but I felt I didn't want to push it more than was the real truth, which is that I ended up doing something which is not stereotype, but you can't. After a certain point, you shouldn't worry about whether your music is individual or whether it's different from anybody else's music. Your job is just to do it, and it will be different just because, not by any act of your own will, you are different from anybody else, and you'll never really write the same music as the next person or paint the same picture as the next person if you're open to being yourself. Also, there's the problem that my ears are tuned to jazz so much because there are formulae almost by which you relate what you're playing to a model and to differences of that model, and I can hear everything in a very familiar way. If I'm playing classical music or playing more free, I'm trying to stretch myself to things I can't quite hear as well. And so I don't always hear them, and when I don't hear them play the wrong note, it puts me off what I wanted to say. It doesn't get said. But if it works, every time you say something, it takes you to be able to say something else. It takes you to a different place.
to 2 in Boston.
U.S. Forest Service officials today ordered 140 firefighters, 2 aerial tankers, and 14 bulldozers to report to the high Uinta Mountains in Utah to battle a blaze which has destroyed at least 2,500 acres of timber and canyon brush. Service spokesman Barry Worth says winds were generally light during the night, but he predicts gusty breezes today could hamper efforts to contain the fire, which is located about 30 miles south of Evanston, Wyoming, near the small Utah town of Bear River.
God, they're weird. You must kill thousands every time you put your foot down.
You think so?
Yeah, I keep stepping on them.
What do they look like? Oh, they're little flies. Can you see?
So this is
Pacific
Nevada,
time zone, another change, folks.
No, what now?
Yeah.
Already?
So we've gained an hour.
What is a healer? The answer lies in the radical difference between what we do as healers and what is offered by the medical industrial establishment in the name of healing. As I see it, the thrust of medical practice today is an attempt to play God, to replace nature and to substitute technical skill and apparatus for our God-given natural capacities to heal ourselves. Too often, when a person's illness resists mechanistic medical treatments, the doctors say that there is nothing to be done. The problem does not fit into the system of logic informing allopathic practices. Doctors may ignore nature's healing and minimize the importance of a person's responsibility for his own improvement. Doctors may even deny healing, seeing it as unfair competition to the medical technology, as a threat to the supremacy of the medical model. If you heal yourself, it is called spontaneous remission. It is not celebrated, acknowledged, taught, or studied. It is dismissed as an anomaly, a fortunate fluke not to be relied on, perhaps indicating that your disease was only psychosomatic to begin with. The logic says that if your disease cannot fit the medical model, then it is not real. In fact, all healing comes from within. It is nature which is the source of life and from which flows all health and healing. A healer is someone who honors your capacity to heal yourself.
Oh, I know what it is. It's a train. They're waiting as a railway crossing.
Are we going yet?
You can relax the whole body by giving a foot massage. Just a foot, hand, and head massage is one of the most relaxing experiences that you can experience. You really don't have to massage the whole body to give the whole body a massage. There's actual, like especially up and through the toes, there's actual crystalline deposits that form. The same crystalline-like deposits that you'll find in stones and gallstones, kidney stones, stuff like that, calcifications. And you find them, as you find them, you work on them. And you work deep. You're assisting the opening of a flow in this person, of their energy, where you suspect blockage or some kind of imbalance. And it's merely just, that's mainly what it is. It's a flow of energy. You're opening the flow so the tissues can regenerate or continue their healing or become young again, or in a way, get life to them, because they have been blocked off one way or another, whether they blocked it off emotionally or through an accident or some level like that.
Being intuitive is listening to your senses, listening and feeling what your body's really doing, feeling I shouldn't say just your body, but feeling what your being is really doing, feeling your being's response to things. That's what intuition is. Everybody has that innate ability inside themselves. Everybody at all times has that. The best way I can describe it is you've been in a situation where let's say you're on the street at night, or you're walking to your car and it's real dark, and somebody comes along, somebody's walking and it's real dark and you can't quite see them, and your feeling is that you're paranoid. We've all felt that, right? You don't know what it is, but you feel a feeling.
Down. Yeah.
And what that is that's like a contraction. You feel it. You feel it as a contraction, right? Sometimes it goes through you as a shiver. You just go, whoa. You don't know what it is, but what you're doing is you're closing down. You're actually contracting. This is a gross example of what I'm talking about. You are actually contracting because of some other energy out there. Whether it's your own paranoia or whatever it is, it's creating a contraction in you. So that's a contraction. And an example of an expansion, this is what I would call the two opposites of that would be, let's say you're someplace and something happens, that the situation that you really feel good about, or a beautiful woman comes into the room, or a nice looking man or something like that, and you go, you just kind of go, that's nice. Everybody's felt that, right? So that's an expansion. That's an idea of expansion. That's another gross example of both ways. You follow what I mean? I think that the mind is integral with everything and is not separate and cannot be separated out from anything at all. And I think that the process you have to do is basically a mind process, because your mind is at the end of your entire nervous system. It's like the sum total summit of everything that goes on around you, whether it's psychic, physical, whatever. It gets everything to it. So it's the central processor for all that information. So it naturally has a place that can feel that intuition. And that's where I feel it comes out of. Now, other people might feel different.
I think a lot of people just keep continuing their imbalances because they aren't sensitive to their body shutting down or their body expanding at certain points.
You mean like with foods, for instance?
With foods, or with how they entertain themselves, the people they keep around them, all these things that their environment. We are, an reflection of our environments, and okay. So when I go to touch a body, you go to the place that needs energy, or you go around the place that needs energy to open it up to whatever it needs at that point. Yeah. So I think if you're if you're fine-tuned yourself, you're sensitive enough to go to those places.